In a bustling town in Iowa, excitement filled the air as a highly anticipated event was about to unfold. A major agricultural company, AgriTech Solutions, was set to demonstrate its latest innovation, a state-of-the-art AI-powered combine harvester. The sun beat down on the crowd gathered at the demonstration field, where sleekly dressed executives sipped coffee, while local farmers stood off to the side, their arms crossed and expressions skeptical. Among them was James Parker, the company's CEO, known for his sharp business acumen and no-nonsense attitude. He disliked the heat, the dust, and especially delays. As the combine began its programmed demonstration, a sudden malfunction caused it to sputter and stop dead in its tracks. The crowd fell silent, eyes wide with disbelief. Some shifted uneasily, while a few investors exchanged awkward glances, unsure of how to react. Parker, visibly agitated, stormed forward, demanding answers from his engineers. "What just happened?" he barked, pointing at a young engineer who looked as if he might crumble under the pressure. The engineer stammered about a software issue, but Parker was not interested in excuses. He turned to a group of local farmhands and teenagers who had come to assist. "You there!" he shouted, pointing at a lanky boy in dirt-stained overalls. "Go find someone who knows how to fix this thing. I need someone competent now." The boy blinked, momentarily startled by the attention. "I can fix it," he replied, his voice steady and calm, cutting through the murmurs of the crowd like a knife. Parker raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "What did you say?" "I said, I can fix it, sir," the boy repeated, stepping forward with a confidence that belied his age. At just 17, his clothes were soiled from the farm, but his eyes shone with determination. The crowd turned to look at him, curiosity piqued. Parker's initial reaction was one of disbelief mixed with amusement. "Kid, this isn't some old lawnmower you're used to tinkering with. It's a $1 million machine, equipped with advanced AI and 4D terrain mapping. Go find someone who actually knows what they're doing." But the boy, whose name was Ethan Davis, didn't flinch. He simply looked at the machine and asked quietly, "Can I take a look anyway?" The onlookers murmured amongst themselves, some expressing doubt, while others began to lean in, intrigued by the boy's boldness. Parker, with a dismissive wave, said, "Fine, let him take a crack at it. Maybe the machine will start just to spite me." As Ethan knelt beside the combine, he pulled a small multi-tool from his pocket, expertly opening the side panel. The crowd watched in a mix of skepticism and hope, some engineers chuckling at what they perceived as a foolish endeavor. But Ethan was in his element. He examined the wiring and module ports, his fingers deftly moving with purpose. "Is this kid really going to fix it?" one of the older engineers muttered under his breath, while another scoffed. "He'll be lucky if he doesn't electrocute himself." But Ethan remained focused, undeterred by their doubts. He unplugged a connection, reattached it to a different port, reset a node, and stood back, saying confidently, "Try it now." The engineer hesitated, glancing at Parker, who nodded curtly. With a deep breath, the engineer climbed into the cab and turned the ignition. To everyone's astonishment, the machine roared to life, its massive front reel spinning smoothly. A wave of silence washed over the crowd, replaced by a mix of disbelief and admiration. Parker's expression shifted from frustration to shock as he took a step closer, scrutinizing the boy. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice steadier now. "Ethan Davis," the boy replied. Parker's brow furrowed as he processed the name. "Davis. Are you related to David Davis?" Ethan paused, recognizing the weight of the question. The silence that followed spoke volumes. "Yeah, he's my dad," he finally admitted, his calm demeanor remaining unshaken. As the crowd buzzed with newfound interest, they began to comprehend the significance of Ethan's lineage, realizing that he was the son of a once-renowned figure in the agricultural tech industry. The atmosphere shifted, anticipation building for what was to come next. If you've ever doubted the potential of someone just because of their age or background, remember this moment. Sometimes true talent comes from unexpected places. Stay tuned to see how Ethan's story unfolds and what it means for the future of innovation in agriculture. As the roar of the combine faded, a wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd. People exchanged glances, their expressions shifting from skepticism to intrigue. Parker stood stunned, processing what had just happened. Ethan Davis, a mere farm kid, had defied expectations and fixed a machine that many seasoned engineers had failed to repair. The atmosphere was electric, charged with a sense of disbelief and excitement. Parker, however, was not in a celebratory mood. "What the hell just happened?" he barked at his engineers, his frustration boiling over. The young engineer who had been trying to troubleshoot looked visibly shaken. I don't know, sir. It's a calibration issue. But Parker cut him off, his patience wearing thin. "This machine cost over $1.2 million. We can't afford to have it malfunction in front of our investors. Get it together." The investors, a mix of sharp-dressed men and women, exchanged worried looks. They had come to witness a groundbreaking demonstration of AgriTech's latest technology, and now they were left wondering if the company was truly capable of delivering on its promises. Some tried to maintain their composure, scribbling notes on their clipboards, while others whispered among themselves, clearly doubting the company's competence. Ethan, meanwhile, had taken a step back, watching the engineers scramble around the machine. His heart raced with adrenaline, not just from the challenge, but from the sheer magnitude of the moment. He knew that he had just earned the attention of some of the most powerful figures in the agricultural industry, and he was determined not to let it go to waste. As the engineers continued to fuss over the machine, Ethan stayed composed. He had grown up in a household where problem-solving was a way of life. His father, David, had taught him that understanding machines was not just about technical knowledge. It was about intuition and a deep connection with how things worked. He remembered spending countless hours in their small workshop, tinkering with old engines and learning to listen to the mechanical whispers of machines. "Can I take another look?" Ethan asked, his voice calm amidst the chaos. Parker, still reeling, looked at him with a mix of confusion and grudging respect. "What do you think you can do that they haven't already tried?" he challenged, crossing his arms defensively. Ethan met his gaze with unwavering confidence. "I understand how this technology is supposed to work. I can figure out what went wrong." The crowd, once skeptical, was now captivated by the boy's determination. Whispers of encouragement spread through the onlookers as some farmers nodded in agreement, recalling their own experiences of fixing machinery with little more than intuition and skill. "Fine," Parker relented, exhaling sharply. "But if you fail, it's on you." Ethan nodded, fully aware of the stakes. As he approached the machine once more, he felt the weight of everyone's eyes on him. The moment was no longer just about fixing the combine. It was about proving that real talent could emerge from unexpected places. With a focused mind, Ethan crouched beside the machine, ready to dive into the intricate world of wires and circuits, determined to show everyone, including Parker, that he was more than just a farm kid. He was ready to claim his place in a world that had underestimated him. As Ethan knelt beside the combine, the crowd held its breath, anticipation mingling with skepticism. Parker watched closely, his expression a mixture of curiosity and irritation. He was still grappling with the fact that a teenager had just saved the demonstration, and the implications of this moment were beginning to dawn on him. Who was this kid, and what did he know about the intricacies of a $1,000,000 machine? As Ethan worked, he couldn't help but think about his father, David Davis. David had once been a rising star in the agricultural technology sector, known for his innovative designs and relentless pursuit of excellence. He had an uncanny ability to see the potential in machines and to coax them into performing at their best. Unfortunately, that brilliance had come at a cost. David had fallen out with the corporate world, a fallout that had left him blacklisted from the industry he had helped shape. Years ago, David had been a key figure at AgriTech Solutions, much like Parker was now. He had championed new technologies that transformed farming practices, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. However, when the company started compromising quality for profit, cutting corners on materials and safety features, David had refused to stay silent. He raised concerns in meetings, sent out urgent emails, and ultimately leaked internal documents to warn farmers about the dangers of the company's decisions. This act of defiance had led to his downfall. Whitmore, who was new to his CEO role at the time, took it personally. David's actions had threatened the company's reputation and profits. As the memories flooded back, Ethan felt a swell of pride mixed with sorrow. His father had sacrificed his career for the sake of integrity, choosing to protect the farmers who relied on their technology. Yet the price had been steep. The family had retreated to a modest farm, far from the glittering world of corporate boardrooms. David had dedicated his life to teaching Ethan everything he knew about machinery, instilling in him a love for problem-solving and innovation. Ethan had learned more than just technical skills. He had absorbed his father's values of honesty and responsibility. He wanted to prove not only to Parker but to himself that he could carry on his father's legacy. As he continued to work on the combine, he could almost hear his father's voice guiding him. "If you can't explain it to someone who knows nothing about machines, then you don't truly understand it." Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Ethan adjusted the final connection and stepped back. The crowd watched, a mix of hope and disbelief on their faces. Parker leaned forward, clearly anxious. "You really think you can get it to work?" he asked, his tough demeanor cracking just a bit. Ethan nodded, his heart pounding. "I believe so, but let's see if it actually runs." With bated breath, everyone awaited the engineer's next move. The moment felt monumental, not just for Ethan, but for the legacy of his father, whose values and teachings were woven into every step he took. It was time to show the world what a farm kid could do. With the crowd buzzing in anticipation, Ethan stood beside the combine, heart racing as he prepared to prove himself. The tension in the air was palpable, and Parker's eyes were locked on him, filled with a mix of skepticism and curiosity. After Ethan's earlier triumph, the atmosphere had shifted. No longer just a farm kid, he was now the center of attention, and everyone was eager to see if he could truly deliver. The engineer in the cab turned the ignition once more, and to everyone's amazement, the machine roared back to life. The massive harvester hummed smoothly, its lights flickering to a vibrant green. A cheer erupted from the crowd, the sound echoing across the field. Parker's expression transformed from annoyance to astonishment, and he stepped closer to Ethan, his demeanor shifting dramatically. "Impressive work," Parker admitted, his voice laced with newfound respect. "What did you do exactly?" Ethan took a deep breath, feeling a rush of adrenaline. There was a voltage drain in the auxiliary power relay. When the machine overheated, it drew power from the wrong port, which caused the system to fail. I swapped it to bypass and rerouted the fallback to the manual override. He explained it clearly, as he had learned from his father, who always emphasized the importance of being able to communicate complex ideas in simple terms. Parker was silent for a moment, processing the information. "You understand this technology better than some of my engineers," he finally said, a hint of admiration creeping into his tone. "What do you think about joining us? We could use a mind like yours at AgriTech. I can offer you an internship and even a scholarship for your education if you're interested." Ethan's heart raced at the prospect. This was everything he had dreamed of, a chance to work in a field he was passionate about. But as the excitement surged within him, another voice echoed in his mind, his father's. David had always warned him about the corporate world's pitfalls, about how easy it was to get lost in the machinery of profit and loss, where integrity often took a back seat. "What about my dad?" Ethan asked cautiously, glancing at Parker. "He's not exactly a fan of AgriTech, you know." Parker's expression shifted slightly, a shadow of discomfort crossing his face. "I know the history between us, but times have changed. We're looking to innovate, and we need fresh perspectives. You could play a crucial role in that." Ethan felt torn. The opportunity was golden, but the weight of his father's legacy hung heavy on his shoulders. Would he be walking in his father's footsteps or betraying the principles David had instilled in him? "I need to think about it," Ethan replied, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "I want to make sure this is the right choice for me, one that aligns with what my father taught me." Parker nodded, understanding the gravity of Ethan's decision. "Take your time. This is a big step, and I want you to feel confident in your choice." As the crowd began to dissipate, Ethan's mind raced. He could feel the eyes of the farmers and investors on him, waiting to see what he would decide. It was more than just an internship. It was a crossroads that could define his future. Would he embrace this opportunity and carve his own path? Or would he remain true to his father's legacy? In the days that followed the demonstration, Ethan found himself in a whirlwind of emotions. AgriTech Solutions had extended a formal offer for a scholarship and internship, and the news spread quickly through the farming community. People who once viewed him merely as a farm kid now looked at him with admiration. Conversations buzzed around town, filled with hope and pride for Ethan's accomplishments. Yet amidst the excitement, a nagging doubt lingered in his mind. Sitting at the kitchen table one evening, Ethan glanced at the letter from AgriTech, the company's logo shining brightly against the plain paper. His father, David, entered the room, a weary smile on his face as he carried a mug of coffee. "What's on your mind, son?" David asked, noticing Ethan's distracted demeanor. "I got the offer," Ethan replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "They want me to join them this summer. It's everything I've dreamed of, but—" He trailed off, struggling to find the right words. David took a seat across from him, listening intently. "But it doesn't feel right," he prompted gently. "Exactly," Ethan said, frustration lacing his tone. "I mean, they're offering me a scholarship, but it feels like they're just trying to clean up their image after everything that happened with you. I don't want to be a pawn in their game." David nodded, understanding the conflict swirling in his son's heart. "I get it. They're offering you an opportunity, a chance to learn and grow. But you have to ask yourself what you want out of it. What do you want your work to mean?" Ethan leaned back in his chair, contemplating his father's words. He remembered the countless hours spent in their workshop, the sound of tools clinking and the smell of oil and metal. David had always emphasized the importance of integrity and purpose in one's work. "I want to create something that actually helps people, not just a product that looks good on paper," Ethan finally said, his determination surfacing. "Then maybe you should take the offer," David suggested. "But on your own terms. Make sure they see you for who you are, not just as a representative of their brand. Show them that you can make a difference." Ethan felt a surge of clarity. He realized that this could be his chance to influence the industry from within, to advocate for the values his father had instilled in him. What if I go there and they just use me as a token genius? He asked, still wary. David smiled softly, his eyes filled with pride. Then you show them who you really are. Remember, you're not just carrying my legacy. You're building your own. You can bring your perspective to the table, challenge the status quo, and push for what's right. With his father's encouragement resonating in his mind, Ethan made his decision. He would accept the internship, but he would do so on his own terms. He would ensure that his voice was heard and that he remained true to the principles he valued. The next day, Ethan drafted a response to Parker, clearly outlining his conditions. He wanted to be part of a team, to solve real problems, and to have a say in the direction of projects he would work on. It was time to step into the world of AgriTech, not as a mere pawn, but as a player ready to make a difference. After formally accepting the internship at AgriTech Solutions, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was no longer just the farm kid from Iowa. He was stepping into a role that could influence the future of agricultural technology. The first few weeks were intense, filled with training sessions and meetings where he absorbed as much knowledge as he could. The cutting-edge facilities and the advanced machinery were awe-inspiring, yet Ethan remained grounded, constantly reminding himself of his roots. Ethan was assigned to work under Darius Kenner, the vice president of Advanced Systems, who had a reputation for pushing the envelope in agricultural innovations. Darius recognized Ethan's potential immediately and encouraged him to share his ideas. "You have a unique perspective that we need," he would often say. "Don't hesitate to speak up. This is a collaborative environment." Ethan thrived in this setting. He began contributing to discussions on new prototypes, using his hands-on experience from the farm to inform his decisions. His ideas were not just theoretical. They came from a place of understanding how technology could genuinely benefit the farmers who relied on it. As he collaborated with seasoned engineers, he found his voice growing stronger, and he started to feel a sense of belonging. However, the corporate world was not without its challenges. Ethan faced skepticism from some of the older engineers who were set in their ways and resistant to change. They often underestimated him, dismissing his opinions simply because of his age. But instead of backing down, Ethan used these moments to prove his worth. He would patiently explain his reasoning, demonstrating how his ideas could improve efficiency or reduce costs. Slowly, he began to win them over, earning their respect through hard work and ingenuity. One day, as he worked late in the lab, Ethan received an email from Parker requesting a meeting to discuss a feature piece about his journey. The company wanted to showcase him as an example of AgriTech's commitment to nurturing young talent. While the idea of being in the spotlight was appealing, Ethan hesitated. He recalled his father's teachings about authenticity and the importance of remaining true to oneself. When the meeting finally occurred, Parker praised Ethan's contributions. "You're a bright young mind, Ethan," he said. "We want to celebrate your achievements, to show the world how AgriTech is finding innovation through fresh perspectives." Ethan listened carefully, but he felt a twinge of discomfort. He realized that while the acknowledgement was gratifying, he didn't want to be portrayed merely as a success story for the company's public relations. "I appreciate the recognition, but I'd prefer to focus on the work and the impact we can make together," he said, choosing his words carefully. "I want to ensure that the narrative reflects not just my journey, but also the farmers we're trying to serve." Parker nodded, understanding the weight of Ethan's words. "That's a fair point. We want to highlight the true essence of your work, not just the surface-level achievements." As the conversation progressed, Ethan felt empowered to shape his narrative. He realized that he could embrace the opportunities presented to him while remaining loyal to his father's principles. It was not just about personal success. It was about using his position to advocate for meaningful change in the agricultural industry. Ethan continued to work diligently, always striving to innovate and uplift those around him. He was determined to build a legacy of his own, one that honored his father's teachings while forging a new path in the world of agricultural technology. Months passed, and Ethan's journey at AgriTech Solutions flourished. He was no longer just an intern. He had become an integral part of the team, contributing to groundbreaking projects that aimed to revolutionize farming practices. Each day brought new challenges, but with each obstacle he found innovative solutions that impressed both his colleagues and superiors. As Ethan worked alongside Darius and the other engineers, he focused on developing a prototype for a new, cost-effective farming machine that could help small farmers who often struggled with high equipment costs. He drew inspiration from his roots, remembering the struggles his father faced and the sacrifices made to keep their family farm afloat. This project was more than just a job for Ethan. It was a chance to give back to the community that had shaped him. One sunny afternoon, while reviewing the latest design specifications, Ethan received a message from Parker asking for a meeting. As he entered Parker's office, he noticed a sense of urgency in the CEO's demeanor. "Ethan, I wanted to discuss the upcoming county fair," We're planning to showcase our innovations there, and I believe your project could take center stage, Parker said, his enthusiasm palpable. Ethan's heart raced at the thought of presenting his work to the community. That sounds great. I think it would be a fantastic opportunity to demonstrate how our technology can really impact local farmers, he replied, eager to show the world what he had been working on. As the fair approached, Ethan prepared tirelessly, ensuring that everything was ready. He wanted the farmers to see not just a shiny new machine, but a tool that could genuinely improve their lives. The day of the fair arrived and excitement buzzed in the air. Families gathered and farmers mingled, eager to see the latest advancements in agricultural technology. Ethan stood by his machine, ready to explain its features and benefits. As visitors approached, he spoke passionately about the project, explaining how it was designed to be user-friendly and affordable. The response was overwhelming. People listened intently, asking questions and expressing their appreciation for a product that addressed their real needs. Later, as the sun began to set, Ethan took a moment to step back and observe the scene around him. He watched his father standing proudly in the crowd, a warm smile on his face. David had instilled in him the values of honesty and integrity, and seeing the community's positive reaction filled Ethan with a sense of fulfillment. That night, as Ethan returned home, he reflected on everything he had achieved. He realized that success was not merely about personal accolades or corporate recognition. It was about making a meaningful difference in the lives of others. The true measure of success lay in how he could leverage his skills and knowledge to uplift the farming community, honoring his father's legacy while forging his own path. Ethan's journey had just begun. He understood now that he had the power to shape the future of agricultural technology. Not for the sake of fame or fortune, but to ensure that the farmers like his father could thrive and succeed. As he looked ahead, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that he would continue to work tirelessly to build a better world for those who relied on the land.